Hello fellow wholehearted, welcome to Hang with Hang. In today's video, I am going to share with you 5 simple things that you can practice to flow more with life. Now, why is it important to flow more with life? Here's the thing, as wholehearted, I know you know how to really fight, how to push, right? And how to make things happen. In that process, sometimes we fight against life. We fight against the flow of life. And that can cause a lot of frustration, can cause a lot of unsettling feeling inside, unpeacefulness, lack of fulfillment, and ultimately some sort of suffocations. It's not feeling great because everything is in constriction and contraction. So my intent with these videos is to create more space within yourself, create more space that you can flow more, you can be more with ease, with joy, and with fun in life. Because what's the point of being human if we don't get to experience all of it, right? So with that, let's dive into these 5 things I want to share with you. So first, my friend, is to understand the nature of life. Life has its rhythm, life has its characteristics, and life has its course. Just like we have 4 seasons in a year, right? We have winter, we have fall, we have spring, and we have autumn. Right, I think I'm just repeating that. But the point is, there is rhythm, there's season, this thing that you don't have control over, because that's the way life works. As we have gravity, I'm standing right here. I'm not floating around because there is gravity exists. So we cannot deny the nature of life. And obviously, each place in life has its own characteristic. Each place has its own season. By understanding that, then we can create some space of acceptance, which is to take to point number 2, is once you understand the difference between what in your control, what not in your control, so then you can take charge on the thing that you have control over. So understand that gravity exists. Not in your control. It's a creation of God, of the universe, of the force, however that you want to believe. And that gravity is not in your control. But what in your control is how you can use that gravity. Because here's the thing. If gravity exists, and we live in the illusion that you don't understand life, you don't want to accept that gravity exists, you think that you can walk off the roof and you'll be okay. That's denial. That's delusional. Because here's the thing, with gravity, when you step off the roof, you're going to fall and you're going to hurt yourself. Right? So that's just the nature of life. That's the thing you don't have control, is how gravity works. But what you have control is by understanding how nature works, you take charge of the experience you want. Which is, we have people that want to fly, right? So we have people do parachuting, we have people base jumping. That different way that you can work with what you're understanding, and you can take charge of that. You can do the preparations of how to deal with that gravity, especially if you want to do something the opposite of that, of how the Wright brother created a plane, all those things. So 2 is to take charge what in your control. Just like how you don't have control over the weather. Like in Hawaii right now, we very blessed. The weather is very, very nice almost all year long. And there's a certain time of the year, the wave, different in the North Shore, different in the South Shore. So understanding that life rhythm, people can appreciate and plan for of how to take charge of what is given to you. So take charge of what in your control, which is, take to point number 3, is knowing the difference. Once you take charge of your control, it's important to surrender, let go of the thing that you don't have control. So the same idea is, try not to change gravity. Try not to change the summer, the winter. Like in the winter here in Hawaii, North Shore really have a big swell. In the summer, generally speaking, the South Shore, sometimes there is exceptions. So understand that rhythm, that you cannot change the wave. You cannot change the weather. You cannot change gravity in the same way as we cannot change other people. Right? And those things outside of our control. Then it's important for us to surrender and let go of the thing that we're not in control. Imagine, try to change something that you cannot change. It's literally, you are setting yourself to fail. You are setting yourself up to suffer. You are setting yourself up to experience pain. That's unnecessary. But understanding that in the winter, North Shore have big wave. If you want to surf big wave and you well prepared, you can go on North Shore and surf big wave. Me, I wouldn't go because I'm not an avid surfer. I go to the South Shore and I surf on the small baby wave because that's the experience that I want, right? So understanding life, understand life freedom, rhythm, and understand about yourself, you can set yourself up to ride with life instead of fight against life. Now in that, the 4 keys, my friend, is to find the balance, the thing in your control and the thing not in your control, and allow yourself to mess up the balance a little bit, because being your humans, there's time that you're going to try to control the thing that you're like, oh, I thought that in my control, or you let go, surrender the thing that you want to take responsibility. And that's just considered human. And our experience is to close that gap and to connect to the reality, to connect to what truth. Because in my opinions, a lot of unnecessary suffering happen is based on the gap of what we think is the truth and what actually is the truth. An example would be of if you think gravity doesn't exist, but the truth is gravity actually exists. So you don't just step off the tall building and think that you're going to fly, because that doesn't work that way. That may work on some other planet and out of space, right? So it's really important to connect to the truth of what is really happening. And the smaller that gap, you minimize your experience of unnecessary suffering. And in that takes to point number 5 is, my friend, you are human, I'm human, or as I think we are, is that it's important to allow yourself to be human and embrace your human experience. Because as humans, there is just certain constraints that come in with this meat package. And as humans, there's just certain things that come with this. And by allowing yourself space to experience the human experience, to experience fear, to experience things that are not in our control, to experience the need to control, to experience all those things, it's just embrace yourself as a human being. And by giving yourself that space to embrace what is, this package is, you're going to give yourself so much space of peace and freedom. And in that, my friend, it's going to create a tremendous power for you to flow with life. Because if you can't connect to the truth of how life works, you could choose fighting against life or just be with life. And my invitation is to be with life, because when you be with life, you actually flow with it. You get to experience peace and ease. And I understand this being a wholehearted, it's easier to fight, right? Because that's how we make things happen. Then put that energy in the thing that you can take charge. And also know when to let go. So with that, my friend, I hope that you can take that to heart. And when I say when you're gonna feel the hurt, right? To heart. So you can give yourself the gift of freedom and peace by allowing yourself to flow and be with life. Easier said than practice, but that's the whole point of being practiced. As I'm making this video, I'm reminding myself. And for me recently, I am recovering from COVID. So I've been greatly reminded the importance of flow with life, of the thing that not in your control and the thing that in your control. And when you can connect to that truth, there's just so much space in here. And I selfishly want that for you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to me to the end. If you haven't already, please subscribe and share this video to as many hearts as possible. And if you want us to send you a notification to remind you when the next video comes up, all you have to do is just click on the bell notifications. And until the next moment, I would love to see you at the next video. Thank you and aloha.